Hello, Kieth Stevens here with International Coatings, and Yuka, our marketing director, asked me to explain where did the lenticular ideas come from and how long ago was it and how did it come together? Well, it was about 35 years ago, and I was working with some inks, and high density was all popular at the time. And high density, if you don't know what it is, it's a very thickly laid deposit of ink with square edges on it. And it's usually about 10 times thicker than regular plastisols printed. And again, with square edges, and it's high density, and it was very popular. And at the time also, gels were being popular. Gels were being popular as adhesives for other items, whether it be flock or caviar beads and stuff like that. But there was this one product that was high density gel, but it melted too easily. We wanted it to stay stable and keep its dimensions, but it was melting easier than other formulas. And at some point, I woke up in the morning one day and realized that if you did this and did this, possibly we can do a lenticular design using that type of scenario. So first of all, we had to make sure that we didn't scorch the shirt. So we always do it on a dark shirt, a black shirt. Second of all, high density, like I said, is typically known for having square edges. But this, more regular gels don't have any edges. But this gel had an edge until you went through the dryer. So somehow it came to me that, why don't I use that? Why don't I print on top of a high density square print and then melt it in the dryer, because this gel would melt easily. But it started out with the square edges, like a high density. So it was kind of a hybrid. So I was able to print the gel through a 400 micron and get edges on that. So with having these square edges and a flat top, it came to me that if I just print two designs on top of that flat top, one on each side of that, and then melt it in the dryer, because this gel tend to want to melt earlier at a lower temp. So I used that to my advantage, and then was able to use the dryer as a tool. So when the inks and the colors went through the dryer, initially it went through as a high density. But as it came through the dryer around 375 degrees, the ink would melt and become a dome. And what it did was dome and bring back, instead of having the ink square on top, it melted them down. So now you can't see that other side of the dome. So when you look at it from this side, you only see the inks that are on that side of the dome, correct? So that's how I was able to do a lenticular, by flipping from this side to that side. And here's a great example of that. Okay, so this is a yellow and red, 3 screens only. And if you see how well that flips from one color, yellow, to red, that's when everything lines up. The height of the gel is correct. The bar or thickness of the gel ink is, the width of it is correct. The distance between those bars are correct. Again, the registration has to be straight down the middle of that bar of ink. And you've run it through the dryer at 375 for a good minute, and you'll get this kind of doming effect, and you'll be able to get this also. There are other types of high density gels or high density lenticular looks, and they're doing that by revealing different levels throughout the image. There might be multiple screens of high density, 2 or 3 different levels, and revealing each other like over picket fences and stuff. The fence is here, and then it's not here, and then it is again. So you're revealing images that way. But this is using one bar of ink, one height of ink, and just using the ink as a tool and melting it in the dryer, and that's the key to it. There's also other ways of doing it where you're making circles with pie shapes in there, so it changes colors like a kaleidoscope, but it's still the same principle. The ink gels at a lower temperature, but prints like a high density. And by knowing that, I was able to utilize that and create this lenticular design. And I played with it several times over my career, and I'll be doing it again, I'm sure, in the future.